What's up, Tea Tribe? This is Alyssa Amoroso, aka Publyssity, who is ready to spill the tea. Because this is Tea with Publyssity. Hi everyone, welcome back to Tea with Publyssity. This is like episode 11, which is so insane. I'm your host, Alyssa Amoroso, if you're new here, and today's episode is presented by my favorite Tequila Hard Seltzer, Mamitas. Mamitas is a hard seltzer made with real tequila. You guys know I love tequila. I'm actually extremely hungover, but we'll get to that in a bit. It's only 95 calories with 5% ABV, so you know it'll get the job done, especially now that we're entering the spring with summer on the horizon. Mamitas comes in 4 delicious flavors: mango, pineapple, Paloma, and lime. You can get them in 4-packs or variety 8-packs. It's mucho delicious. Be sure to get yours and follow them at Drink Mamitas. And like I said, I had a little bit too much tequila this past weekend. Unfortunately, the wedding I was at didn't have Mamitas, but I'll be back on the Mamita soon because my fridge is packed, but I need to get over this hangover first. So I'm sitting here with Mackenzie. What's going on?
Nothing much. How are you?
I've been better.
Unwell.
I am tired and sexy. And I was at my best friend from college's wedding this weekend, and whenever I get together with my college friends, it's like a blast, obviously.
Yeah.
And we party like we're still 21.
Yeah, always.
And we're not. And I went to bed last night. I took 2 melatonin because I was like, I got to knock myself out.
Yeah.
Because I'm run down.
Right.
Guys, I woke up at 2 a.m.
Oh my God.
Thinking I was having a heart attack. I've never felt this way before. I woke up and I was like, jumped, I was on my stomach. So I jumped up onto my forearms and I was like, I don't know. I think I'm dehydrated.
Weird. Yeah.
Because my arms feel asleep and my legs feel asleep. And
God.
I woke up and I was thirsty. I was like, and it's funny, guys, because today's episode is with a doctor and it's supposed to be my health and wellness episode. And I feel maybe my worst I've ever felt on the podcast.
Yeah, a little contradicting, but it's fine.
So it's kind of funny to
we'll learn from this episode. You'll have to re-listen.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have to re-listen to my own episode and be like, okay, so what steps do I take to be a healthy person?
Right, exactly.
Because I'm not well. And so whenever I get together with my college friends, like I said, we just have so much fun. And my friend Christina is a new mom and she doesn't get out much.
Yeah.
It's COVID.
Right.
And so she went a little hard at the rehearsal dinner
gosh.
before the wedding.
Yeah.
And my friend Lisa has a Ring. You know those Ring cameras where they're video cameras. Doorbells, yes. Mm-hmm. That's it. Wow. I'm going to need some assistance
No,
today.
it is a ring. It is a ring bell.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like a camera. It's a doorbell.
Yeah.
So we were leaving Lisa's house and her driveway is pebbles versus I don't know,
regular driveway. Yeah, whatever.
Wow, Mackenzie is really going to need
concrete.
to help me.
Yeah. No, not concrete.
No, you're perfect because I have no words today and you're filling in the blanks. So thank you.
I don't know if that's right.
No, that's perfect.
We'll
yeah, concrete, paver, whatever.
Yeah, pavement.
So it's pebbles. And Christina, when we were leaving, fell on the pebbles and completely wiped out.
Oh my God.
And we found the footage on Lisa's ring light camera.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Wait, it's definitely not called a ring light. A ring.
Ring. I think it's just ring.
Ring light's the thing that you take selfies with.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm unwell.
What a Monday.
So we caught the footage. So I need to post that to the Tea with Publyssity Instagram account because you guys are going to crack up and it basically just sums up my weekend. You don't actually see her falling, but you hear us all being like, Chrissy.
Oh my God.
And we're screaming.
Yeah. Even better.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And I just want to thank everyone that has been DMing me midday, morning, and midnight meat because it has been an abundance of hot men in my DMs.
So good.
And I fucking love it. Like, you guys come in clutch. You crack me up that you also are obsessed with the meat series.
Meat series.
Okay, so if you're new here, and I'm sure you guys are returning, let me just break down what we're going to be getting into today. So I will continue to update you on my life and, chat with you for a little bit before getting into my interview with Dr. Will Cole, who is a functional medicine doctor. And I just want to preface it by saying this interview is different than any of the other interviews I've done so far on the pod, because this is more wellness focused versus like influencer focused. Like, this is actually a doctor and a professional versus people just speaking from their own experience. And I just need to say that, like, he's going to say a lot of big words that I personally didn't understand half of them, but there's so much like truth to it. And he's also an author. So I want you guys to listen to it because there's so much to learn when it comes to inflammation and all of that. And I'll get into my own journey with inflammation in a bit as well. Then I'm going to do the Ask Alyssa segment, and Rudy is joining me again since you guys all loved him so much. And then we're going to spill the tea because I need to talk about this Demi Lovato drama that has been going on. And the Tea Tribe got into it last night in our closed Facebook group, and I need to revisit that. So we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But for right now, I just want to, again, update you guys on my life. So I feel like I made leaps and strides last week in terms of like self-growth.
Oh, okay.
Which is crazy because it was actually such a hard emotional week for me, but I had like a lot of breakthroughs, like in therapy, without therapy, just like things that I've noticed from my past that I was like still holding on to all these years later. So like I'm working on just like forgiving myself for things that I've been punishing myself for. Like you don't even realize sometimes how hard you are on yourself for things. And then like you realize, like now I've realized and I'm like, oh wait that's like ridiculous.
Doesn't matter anymore. Yeah,
that was 10 years ago. Like I'll let it go. So I just feel like I made like leaps and bounds last week. So I'm trying to take that energy into this week. And then I finally also feel like I'm ready to get back out there and start dating.
Oh,
I know.
So fun.
It's taken me a really long time to get to this point. And again, this was something I realized last week where I was like, I'm just going to do it. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
So I think I'll maybe get back on dating apps. I emailed Raya and was like, can you like accept me because this is getting ridiculous.
Right, I know.
So
that's
hopefully
annoying.
They do.
Yeah. So exclusive.
Yeah, because we've talked a little bit on the episode with Devin about me not knowing what I should put my profession as.
Right, yeah.
I think what I'm going to go for is photos of me like not looking my best, which sounds ridiculous, but like I want to like dumb down my profile.
Yeah.
Like don't necessarily put my job.
Right.
And then so someone can get to know me for me.
Yeah.
And then everything else they learn is like a bonus, which is like what Devin said.
Right. It's like, oh, if you don't want me at this, you don't deserve me at my best or
exactly.
whatever. Yeah,
so like
that.
Part of me thinks I might take that approach.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Right. Yeah. Because you never know if you start out with all the influencer, like I work at Barstool, maybe like you don't know if they're just seeing you just because of that stuff.
Yeah, and I noticed even this weekend at the wedding that I was at, it was my first time interacting with people that I don't know personally super well because like it's COVID, so I've really been just seeing people that know me, know my job, know what I do.
Right.
It was my first time interacting with like guys that are just meeting me.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because like it's interesting with my job because like I just assume we're all meeting for the first time. No one knows who I am or what I do.
Yeah.
But then as I start talking to people, it will come out like, oh, I listen to your show. Oh, I do this. Oh, how's Dave?
Yeah.
How's the office?
Oh, yeah.
What's Frank like? And like people become like, they really are so interested in the Barstool dynamic, which I get. Because like if I was a boy, I would be too.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But it makes you feel like not seen for like who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just asking just to get like the info out.
Not to get to know you.
Right. Yeah.
So, so I think that's the approach I'll take. So again, leaps and bounds, and then I'll have things to update you guys on. And then also I want to describe a little bit my personal journey with inflammation, which I think I've talked about a little bit on different episodes, but this will kind of preface my interview with Dr. Will Cole and why I wanted to have him on. So for those of you that don't know, I am gluten-free for the most part. And it sounds ridiculous me saying that because I ate a bagel yesterday, but that's out of the norm for me.
Yeah.
Like I really try to stick to it. It's funny because in New York, there's so many options that I could get a gluten-free bagel, gluten-free toast at my fingertips delivered. But the second I exit the New York bubble and everyone else is just eating normal food, I'm like, I feel like an idiot that everyone's getting bagels right now and I can't get one.
Right, yeah.
So like sometimes I'll like give in and do it, but I really try to stay away. I don't think I'm celiac, although I do definitely have autoimmune issues, which celiac falls under the autoimmune category. I've done years of testing for all of this, so that's how I know all of this. So basically, there's this thing called, oh my gosh, now I'm getting super medical, but maybe this will help you guys.
Yeah.
There's this thing called CPR. I mean, no. CRP.
CPR.
They're like, it's when someone passes out and you resuscitate them.
We know.
There's this thing called CRP, and it is something in your blood work that indicates like your inflammation levels. And when I was getting blood work done a few years ago, we kept noticing that my inflammation levels were super high. And when your inflammation's super high, it could mean that disease, it could mean you're more at risk for cancer or arthritis or autoimmune diseases, all of these things. So it sent me on this wild goose chase of trying to figure out why I had so much inflammation in my body. I saw a doctor thinking maybe I had what's that kind of arthritis?
Rheumatoid, like arthritis?
Yeah,
I think it's rheumatoid.
Me too, but I feel like I'm saying a bad word.
I'm only...
I feel like I'm saying something offensive when I say that.
Like I only know it from like those commercials.
Me too.
Yeah, but that's how I remember it being said. So I feel like that's right.
Me too. Like we're not trying to be offensive. I just don't know how to say it.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure that's close enough.
I got tested for arthritis. They thought like, do you have MS? Like really scary shit. Like I got scans of everything in my body because I was getting like tingling in my arms and my legs. So they're like, is it something with your brain? Is it whatever? I went through so many freaking doctors, and finally once we ruled out everything, thank God, I decided to see a functional medicine doctor. It was when I was seeing that functional medicine doctor that she was like, I'm gonna cut out gluten and dairy from your diet and let's see how your body reacts. It was once I cut out the gluten, the chills and aches that I was feeling for a year of my life, I was literally so sick for one full year.
Oh my gosh.
Went away.
Oh wow.
And it's so crazy because you go to all these doctors, but they never look at food. They're just looking at results.
Like your blood work and like your brain and stuff. Yeah, that's true.
So finally, when I cut out the gluten, I felt some relief. To this day, I'll still sometimes get triggered. Like I actually feel achy today, but I did have a bagel yesterday.
Right.
And I also noticed my aches spike when I'm under a lot of stress. And because I woke up thinking I was having a heart attack last night, I had a very like stressful sleep last night.
Yeah.
So I woke up this morning feeling like shit.
Yeah, right.
And that all has to do with, again, you guys, I'm not a professional, but from my research, when your like cortisol levels spike, which is like a hormone, your body gets into this like fight or flight mode and it reacts in this like fight or flight response. And that's why it produces like inflammation.
Yeah.
Again, years of research. So anyway, so I'm gluten-free for that reason. I still deal with inflammation. I try to do things to not cause it. Like I try to be mindful, and that's why I do go to therapy, because stress is a big part of like inflammation, as is food. And the last time I actually went to the doctor, all my blood work came back great. I was like a little low in iron, but like my cholesterol was fine. Like everything was fine. So like on paper, I'm a healthy girl.
Yeah.
But I still now know what triggers me to feel sick.
Yeah.
So that's why I was really interested in having Dr. Will Cole on, because his whole book is about this thing called intuitive fasting. And he talks a lot about hormones and inflammation. And he just knows so much more than me. And like it's evident. And it's really cool also because I think I'm going to maybe do some blood work with him and then have him come back in a few weeks and give me my results on the pod, which would be so awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with him. Try to follow along. It's like pretty, again, he's like so smart that half of the time I was like spinning. I'm like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
But it's really incredible. And I think he has a lot to share. So after the interview, I will be back with Rudy. We will answer your questions and then we're going to spill the tea. Before we hop into my interview, I want to tell you guys about a brand that I've actually been a fan of for years and years and years. If you are looking for the perfect gift for your mom, shop the #1 gifting destination, Kendra Scott. Their jewelry is beautifully crafted that gives back. From engraving to birthstone colors to diamonds, find exactly what your mom wants for Mother's Day at Kendra Scott. Let your mom know that she wears life beautifully. She wears it like a mom. From now until May 7th, get 20% off using code Publyssity. That's PUBLYSSITY. Exclusions apply. Again, it's 20% off using code Publyssity through May 7th. And funny enough, guys, for my sister's bachelorette party, I was the maid of honor, so I gifted all of her bridesmaids Kendra Scott, and I've gifted my mom tons of Kendra Scott. So like this is a brand that I truly, truly love and have worked with for years. So I'm really happy to have this code for you guys. Again, it's just 20% off by using Publyssity. Guys, I am here with Dr. Will Cole. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my goodness. Thanks so much for having me.
I am super excited to talk to you because I have been on my own personal journey with functional medicine throughout the years. And it's something that I feel like I try to talk to people about, but I'm not super knowledgeable. So it's like me trying to explain what I've learned, but then I'm probably getting things confused along the way. So I'm really excited to talk to someone who, you're a practitioner in this. This is something that you do. You just came out with a new book called Intuitive Fasting. And I'm just really interested in hearing what you have to say. And I would love if you could just open up by kind of just explaining to people what you do and what you specialize in.
Yeah, thank you again. So I am a functional medicine practitioner, like you said, and I started one of the first functional medicine telehealth centers in the world over a decade ago. So my entire career, I've been consulting people via webcam, and we drop ship labs to them and talk to them via webcam like we're talking now. And so for 10 plus hours a day, I get to talk to people like we're talking right now and look at the root components. What are the confluence of factors that are the pieces to their puzzle? That why are they feeling the way that they feel? So I deal a lot with people with autoimmunity and people that are on this larger inflammation spectrum, or they may have autoimmune components, but they're not diagnosed, but they're symptomatic. Yeah, there's so many people, right? There's so many people going through what you're going through. You're not alone. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. There's 50 million Americans that have an autoimmune disease diagnosable, and there's millions more that are on this inflammation spectrum. And those are my people. You're my people, because it's like on the outside, you look great. No one knows what it's like to go through it. They don't know what it takes just to get through the day sometimes. And to give people answers as to what are the pieces to the puzzle here. Like there's a reason why you feel the way that you feel. Let's figure it out. And just because something's common doesn't necessarily mean it's normal. And many people think it's just because it's their everyday, they settle for it with things like fatigue and digestive problems and other inflammatory issues. So it's definitely something I take extremely seriously, to start giving them answers and tools to have agency over their health and start to feel better.
Yeah, it's interesting because about 2 years ago, I'd say, 2 years ago, I started feeling super achy. Like my arms would ache, I would always say. I almost felt like I had a fever every day. And it sent me on this spiral of going to doctors. And every doctor I went to, they were like, is it MS? Is it arthritis? Is it, all of these really extreme things, and everything was coming back clear. I'm healthy. No one for one moment looked at food allergies or hormones or those things, because I'm getting sent to all these specialty doctors. And it wasn't until a friend of mine recommended going to a functional medicine doctor that I went to her, and then realized that I was having like an intolerance to gluten, and my inflammation was so high. And that kind of like sparked my journey of working with someone that wasn't just so focused on medicine or x-rays or this or that, and really getting to the root of it, because I feel like so much of it is based in food and what we're eating.
Yeah. No, it's
Do
absolutely
you
true.
find?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and even looking at the labs conventionally as well, I think it's important for people to know when you get that lab from your conventional setting, that reference range that you're being compared to, that X to Y interval of numbers that you have your number on the lab, and then you have this reference range, that's largely based on this statistical bell curve average of the population of that specific lab. So people that are sadly, the people that are predominantly going to labs are people with health problems. So there's a lot of people like yourself that no, this isn't normal for me. Like something's going on, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor runs the basic test because they're looking for the extreme things, and the labs
Yep.
come back quote unquote normal, even though you know intuitively like this is not normal. And you're told you're just depressed. Here's an antidepressant. You're just stressed out. You're just getting older. A lot of new moms are told you're just a new mom. All these they're well-intentioned reasons is like, how the heck could you
Yeah.
be having these symptoms despite these quote unquote normal labs? But I mean, comparing yourself to people with health problems is no way for you to know what's going on in your body. So in functional medicine, we're using a thinner range of numbers within that larger reference range. That's the functional range. That's where we get our name, functional medicine. It's where does your body function the best? Where does vibrant
Mm.
wellness live? Which is in the optimal range. So the Cleveland Clinic's Functional Medicine Center, that's who's trained myself, my team. It's the Institute for Functional Medicine, IFM. So that is what we're looking at, these optimal ranges. Because like I said earlier, just because something's common doesn't necessarily mean it's normal. So let's actually look at optimal, not just average.
Yeah, that's so fascinating because you do start to feel a little crazy because you know you're not feeling well and everyone's like, is it they start when nothing's coming up in the labs, then they start pointing to, like you said, is it in your head? Is it anxiety? Is it depression? And you're like, I'm not crazy. Like you know when you're not feeling your best. And it was frustrating for me going through the entire process. I finally started to feel some relief when I did change up my diet and did cut out the gluten. But even to this day, like actually today, this morning, I woke up feeling super achy. And I notice even when I get in like super high stress environments or if I'm really stressed about something, I'll kind of like feel that spike again. Is there something you could talk to me about, like cortisol or those levels spiking? Because it's something that I'm really interested in and I hear people talk about on other podcasts, but I don't know enough about, and I would love to learn some more.
Yeah. So you're right. Food is a major part of this, but it's not just about food. And I think it's important for people to realize what we're talking about here. All these symptoms that we're talking about, that you're talking about, whether that's fatigue or digestive problems or musculoskeletal, joint muscle pain, or even things like anxiety and depression and brain fog and fatigue, these all have inflammation at their roots. So and people like to separate mental health from physical health, but reality, mental health is physical health. I mean, our brain is part
Mm-hmm.
of our body, and now research shows that very clearly in the scientific literature. The cytokine model of cognitive function, it's how inflammation impacts how our brain works, how our hormones work, how our neurotransmitters work, and the rest of our body operates. But inflammation is not inherently bad. It's a product of our immune system. We want balanced inflammation levels. So we want inflammation to rise up to fight off viruses and kill off bacteria that are
Mm.
pathogenic, but we don't want inflammation too high for too long. That's the breaking of what I call the Goldilocks principle. Like not too high, not too low, but just right. We want inflammation to do its job, but to calm down. Many people just have inflammation too high for too long. This is chronic inflammation. That is the commonality between just about every health problem that's plaguing human society today. And every food we eat either feeds inflammation or fights it. There's no neutral food. There's no Switzerland meal. It's doing something for your
Hmm.
physiology, one or the other. Some in legible ways, some in ways that we maybe not even notice, but it's doing something to your biochemistry. It's instructing your biochemistry to some degree. So you mentioned gluten, which is the protein that's in wheat and rye and barley and spelt. That is reactive to many people. I mean, there's many reasons for that, but everybody's different. Some people do fine with it, and that's the heart of functional medicine. It's bio individuality. We're all different. So some people
Yeah.
they may be fine with gluten. Some people aren't. So instead of me making broad sweeping, overgeneralized statements, we want to look at the uniqueness, and that's another heart of functional medicine. Is we're all different, and I want to find out what does your body love and what does your body hate. So you mentioned stress or sleep or these these are what I call non-food inflamers, because you could be eating the perfect meal and like you're downing like kale and kombucha and like taking all the good supplements and you got that solid, but you're serving your body a big slice of stress every day, which is junk food for your soul, which is going to raise inflammation levels up. Like I said earlier, you cannot separate mental health from physical health. Toxic stress, trauma, an unhealthy relationship or work environment, that raises inflammation levels just as much as a big piece of junk food. So we have to look at this bidirectional relationship between our thoughts and emotions and our physiology, because they're interconnected. Underlying gut problems, chronic infections, hormone imbalances will impact your mood, but the opposite is also true. The external stuff, stress, trauma, etc., will impact your physiology as well. So you're right. I mean, you have to look at these non-food inflamers just as much as food.
It's so almost like daunting because as someone who I try to do it all, like I want to be mindful, I want to have positive self-talk, I want to try to eat well, but it all, like you said, feeds into each other and it's lumped into one big thing. So it's sometimes like as a consumer, I feel like it's so much to hear, okay, I need to be mentally strong, I need to eat well, I need to do this, I need to do that. It gets very confusing for people, I feel, to live that way every single day. Are there any like key points or any key things that you find people could start incorporating into their life to just like live more well balanced?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great point. Even when I say what stress can do to your body, what trauma can do with perpetuating inflammation levels in your body, what I realize is that me saying that alone adds more stress, because now he's telling me now that you're stressing about not stressing, and like, what the heck am I supposed to do? How do you and stress and trauma and this kind of stuff, that's a lot more nefarious and insidious, because it's easy to say, well, this food makes you feel lousy, let's avoid that. It's not like something you could pick up and set down and just don't do. So I don't think it's as easy as food, and I respect that. And this is not about being perfect. I have found is the resilient capacity of the human body, of human physiology. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to like live like this health aficionado that's just like living and breathing wellness all day long to feel great and to be your best. So what I ask people to do is just meet yourself where you're at. Give yourself grace, give yourself lightness. Don't feed yourself. It's something that I say a lot, and I want people to hear this because it's the central cornerstone of sustainable wellness, is you can't heal a body you hate. You cannot shame your way into health. You cannot obsess your way into wellness. You can try, but it will be such a source of dread, or it'll be so unsustainable for you that you'll do it for a couple of weeks and then give up. I don't want there to be a wagon for you to fall off. There is no wagon. There shouldn't be a wagon. This is your life. Your life is a wagon. You can't fall off of it. And what I'm talking about here is just integrating you feeling great in your life. So even if it's incremental changes and you lean into it, it's sustainable. And I want to create a firm foundation that really there's a catalyst that shifts when you start feeling better, that it will be so intuitive. And that's really what I'm trying to talk about with intuitive fasting, is that you love feeling great more than you thought you missed something that made you feel really lousy. And it's a little bit, it's a longer journey with stress and shame and trauma. It definitely is a bigger journey than don't eat that junk food. But these junk foods for the soul that impacts inflammation levels just as much as the junk food have to be dealt with. And what it looks like at the start is just to start bringing acts of stillness into your life. Start bringing in mindfulness practice. Start bringing in things that root yourself in the present moment. And that looks different for different people. But that's something that I talk about in intuitive fasting. I call them metaphysical meals, because it's mealtime. I mean, it's like, what are we serving our head and our heart? What are we serving that? And those are opportunities, whether that's going out in nature and just turning off electronics, whether that's maybe journaling and getting your emotions out and your thoughts out on paper. Maybe that's going and seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist to really work on that past trauma. It's all that stuff that's dealing with the junk foods of the soul. And that takes time. That process takes time. So I would say throughout that process, just be gentle on yourself. This has taken a long time to get to where we're at now. So the idea that you're going to solve it overnight is unrealistic. So, but when you start
Yeah.
leaning in with small things, the capacity for healing is exponential in my experience.
Yeah, I think that's the thing where people, myself included, you just kind of feel like I want fast results. I want to feel better. So like for me personally, when I started getting a lot of like inflammation and just living in an unhealthy environment, I put weight on. And now it's like I want the weight to come off, but there's all these other factors that you're talking about, like mental and physical, and now my metabolism's slower and all of these different things. And sometimes I'm not patient with myself and I'll be like, I just want to snap my fingers and eat a healthy food and have it all go away. But it's such a bigger process, especially when you do have these like different issues with inflammation or stress. For me, as an entrepreneur, I have so much stress. And I think that's actually really been like a key factor in all of this, just the mental health aspect of it.
It definitely is for so many people, because I think it's all about the tangible stuff. Sometimes it's the intangible that impacts the tangible. So people have to realize that. And something that the functional medicine perspective and my perspective on weight loss resistance or people struggling with losing weight or anything like that, they have to get healthy to lose weight instead of trying to lose weight to get healthy. Is that what? Don't worry about the weight loss. Worry on your health. Focus on your health. Don't worry about anything. Focus on your health. And a natural byproduct of getting healthy over time will create sustainable weight loss. So that's the message in all of what I talk about with my patients for the past decade. It's what I try to get across with intuitive fasting. These are tools to improve your physiology, actually reset your metabolism, so you'll just naturally get to your metabolic baseline, and it'll be a healthy weight for your body. So that's the antithesis of that dieting consciousness that's like about obsession and restriction and this sort of shame culture that I think is the antithesis of sustainable wellness.
I think my listeners are really going to love this because we talk a lot about body image, but I have a lot of like influencers on, and we're just talking about our own experiences. It's not based in any, it's like things that our therapist told us and we're relaying it, but it's never coming straight from the source. Yeah. So I think it's good for people to hear that from a professional, that you have to feel healthy within yourself to even start to make those changes. Mm-hmm. And I agree with like the self-talk and the self-hatred. That's not going to get you anywhere, or it might in the short term, but then you're going to go back to the bad habits. Yeah. I'm interested now in hearing a little bit more about the intuitive fasting. I've spoken about intuitive eating on a different podcast, and I always joke, I'm like, if I listened to my gut, I'd be eating burgers and tacos. And I have a hard time grasping intuitive eating, fasting, whatever it may be. And I actually got a DM from one of my followers saying the same thing. She was like, I'm glad that you said that if you just listen to your brain, it would be burgers, because I feel the same way. And I think a lot of people, we have this misconception about it. So I'd love to hear you kind of explain it, because obviously you just wrote a book on intuitive fasting, so you're the best to answer this.
Yeah, and it's really a functional medicine deep dive conversation on that same topic that exactly what you said is what I see with my patients. There was a book in the 90s called Intuitive Eating, and look, it's been used today by some people that have eating disorders, and they're kind of healing their relationship with food and kind of undoing the toxic shame that diet culture perpetuates, right? So I'm not talking about that. If you have an eating disorder, this is not what we're discussing today. But what I am discussing is the larger problem that people have with their relationship with food, and an unhealthy relationship with food. And the majority of the human race today, almost everybody, close to 80% of the United States today, has a massive metabolic problem, a massive hormonal problem, a massive inflammatory problem, a massive blood sugar issue. So what we're dealing with is a massive issue of metabolic inflexibility or metabolic rigidity. And people are stuck in this sugar burning mode, and they're hangry, and they have insatiable cravings, and they have chronic inflammation and blood sugar issues and weight loss resistance and all that issues. That's a lot of people. And those are the people that I speak with, and they say exactly what you say. They say, look, Like I'm actually craving all the things that are actually making me feel worse at the end of the day. So it's nice to say I'm intuitive eating, or and it's a nice hashtag on social media, but really when it comes down to the practical, like what the heck does that mean to somebody that's struggling with these chronic inflammatory problems? It's going to be a lot of things that mask themselves and disguise themselves as their intuition, but are they really your intuition if they're leading you to have something that makes you feel really
Yeah.
lousy? I think we should you be mindful when it comes to eating. I think that there should be an intuitive relationship with food and fasting, but it's not going to happen when you're metabolically inflexible, because is it intuition or is it hormone imbalance? Is it intuition or
Mm,
hangriness? Is it intuition or metabolic issues? I mean, that's really the conversation that I'm having in intuitive fasting, which is paradoxical on purpose. I called it intuitive
yeah.
fasting because fasting will not be intuitive when you're metabolically inflexible. So by using intermittent fasting in a mindful way, just like all of what I was talking about, of how do we do it, use fasting and food as a mindfulness practice? How do we use food and fasting as a meditation to learn about ourselves, but also use it as medicine? So not just a meditation, but medicine. We're therapeutically lowering inflammation levels and helping our gut health and helping our hormone levels and helping our blood sugar levels. Because when you create metabolic flexibility, meaning you're able to burn fat for fuel, your blood sugar is more balanced, your inflammation levels are lower, your gut health is better. All of that stuff is physiological foundation for authentic mindful eating, intuitive eating, and for intuitive fasting. Not because it's some arduous, restrictive, obsessive thing. It's because when someone's more metabolically flexible, they can go longer without eating because their blood
Yeah.
sugar is more stable. So that's really the conversation that I'm having. I want people to get to the place of mindful eating and intuitive eating, but we have to actually build the hardware, so to speak, the physiological health stuff, to have proper signaling pathways and satiety signaling that's going on in the body, so I can know with a deep discernment and awareness about our body, oh, this food makes me feel great. I can go longer without eating. Foods, I'm not obsessed about food anymore. I'm
Mm,
actually, I use food because it's delicious and I know when to stop to eat. I use food therapeutically because it makes me feel good, and I'm not tied to food. Basically, I enjoy food. Food doesn't control me. And that's where I want
yeah.
people to get to. So to me, it's a functional medicine conversation about the things you talked about in your show in the past.
I think that is, yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. And I would love to learn. So, when people, I think I heard you on the Skinny Confidential podcast say this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said when you're fasting, it doesn't mean that you're eating less, you're just pushing the time.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
absolutely. Yeah. So the specific subset of intermittent fasting that I'm talking about, the science of it, like what's in the medical
Yeah.
journals in intuitive fasting, I'm talking about a time compressed feeding or time restricted feeding. So it has nothing to do with calorie changes. You're eating ample amounts of food. You're just doing it in specific windows. And you're eating healthy foods. You're eating foods that actually make you feel better and honestly really complement the fast, because it is therapeutic. Again, we're using food as medicine and a meditation too. So it is definitely not caloric restriction. It is, and people conflate the two, but it's not the same thing. We're just eating in specific windows. So in the book Intuitive Fasting, I put together a protocol that's, again, born out of my clinical experience of just how to use this thing sustainably, these tools sustainably, is these vacillating, ebbing and flowing windows of eating and fasting. So you're eating ample amounts of food, you're just doing it in specific windows, but it is sort of this proverbial yoga class for your metabolism. So if someone is metabolically inflexible, that's like somebody being inflexible in their body. Like my hamstrings are tight. Like I'm
Mm,
I'm pretty inflexible. I go to a yoga class. I'm not really great at it at first, but I can't blame yoga and say yoga's not for me. It's because I'm inflexible.
yeah.
That's what's going on with many people's metabolism. They're a sugar burner, they're hangry, they have insatiable cravings. They have to start off with a beginner yoga class for their metabolism or intermittent fasting. And we're training the metabolism to become more flexible. So we're ebbing and flowing into these deeper and later time restricted feeding windows, eating lots of good foods just in specific windows. And that starts to train the metabolism to become more flexible. And that lowers the inflammation levels, balances blood sugar, and helps to become more metabolically flexible. You feel good. You have increased energy levels.
That's so interesting to me because I think I have a friend, I won't call her out, but over this whole quarantine period, everyone working from home, she was sleeping a lot later and therefore kind of intermittent, well, why can't I say the word right now?
Right. It's a weird word.
Fasting. Yeah, I'm like, whoa. Fasting. And she was skipping a meal. So she was skipping breakfast and she wasn't losing weight, but she was hardly eating any calories. And I kept saying to her, I'm like, I don't think this is healthy. Like, this doesn't seem right to me because you're not giving your body enough like nutrients. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people my age, when they hear fasting, they think, ooh, I'm just going to eat my first meal at lunchtime and then I'll have dinner and then I'm good. And it's interesting because you're not saying that at all. You're saying you need to still eat the right amount of food. You need to eat nutritious food within those certain windows. But I think that's a big misconception that people really get wrong. And that's why I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's true. And look, there were studies that have been done that for research purposes, if we don't, because you have to know from a research standpoint, what's the benefits of fasting? Is it caloric restriction? Is it changing the foods that you eat? Or is it the actual windows of eating? So from a research standpoint, different scientific journals had to look at that and to see, does fasting stand on its own? Where does the benefit come from? So there have been many studies that have been done, and I cite them in the book to show that, yes, the benefits of fasting do in part come from the specific windows of eating, because you're giving your body a break from digesting food, and you have you're increasing all these healing pathways and upregulating them during your fasting period. But for the sake of real life, I just want to feel great and be healthy. I would never advocate somebody to fast their way out of a poor diet, nor would I advocate them to chronically lower their calories. That is not good. That's not healthy. So we're eating really amply, like good nutrient dense and calorically dense foods, just in a very strategic way, therapeutically. Then over time, it will become intuitive, because when you become more metabolically flexible, it'll be an art form for you. It won't be this thing that you have to follow Dr. Rickle's protocol in a book. It's because it's just like that yoga practice. You've got this down really, really intuitively, that oh, I felt better when I did that. I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to do less of that. I didn't need that so much. And that will evolve as your health improves too. So that's what I want people to have: agency over their health, but they have to start with a template to actually learn about their body and to start feeling better on a physical level.
Yeah, I think that's just a good place to start for people, especially because it is a newer concept for some people. I think as we have things like podcasts, people are learning more. And like I said, you don't feel well, you go to a doctor, they give you a prescription, and sometimes you just never get to the root of the issue. So sometimes it is doing your own research, reading things. For women, I know that hormones are a huge factor. Are there anything specific that people should test for when they're feeling this way? Is it their thyroid? Is it their hormones? Like, is there something that we should be like looking or paying more attention to?
Yeah. So there's two different ways to look at this. One, subdiagnostically, just wanting to learn more about your body, because I do feel like you're right. Like most people are so divorced from their intuition. They're so divorced from their body, even knowing, because they think because it's their everyday, that that's their normal. They can get through the day.
Yeah.
It's not a good quality day. They're kind of fatigued and irritable and they don't feel really good, but they just settle for it. So I want people to start to grow in mindfulness and awareness about their body. And I put a quiz in the book in Intuitive Fasting that I adapted from questions that I ask patients to learn about your body. And then you can start, the aha moments that come from those type of questionnaires is really cool to see, because they start to think, whoa, I do have that every day. I thought that was normal.
Mm-hmm.
And they can start to really learn about their body and thinking, hey, this isn't normal. This is just common. Let's start to fix it. Let's start to improve how you feel. So I would say that may be a good start. But you're absolutely right. There's a time and place for diagnostics. And that's what I work on with my patients. It's beyond what I can get in a book. We have to get labs for people to look at the confluence of factors, because there's so many women that are struggling with these different metabolic issues where they have insulin resistance, their leptin's off. Leptin is a hormone that their fat cells produce to burn. A lot of times people struggling with chronic fatigue and weight loss resistance, they have leptin resistance, which I do talk about at length in intuitive fasting, because fasting helps to lower leptin. So if you could look at food and gain weight with leptin resistance, you could eat like a rabbit and gain weight with leptin resistance. So these are hormonal roadblocks that can keep people back from their goals. So we have to look at leptin, we have to look at insulin, we have to look at the thyroid hormone, like you mentioned. And with thyroid hormone pathways, which I talk about at length in the book too, because these are important. And we have to run full thyroid panels. You can't just run basic thyroid panels. So in functional medicine, we run everything like TSH, total T4, total T3, free T3, and free T4, thyroid antibodies, because a lot of thyroid cases are autoimmune in nature, like Hashimoto's disease and Graves' disease, and something called reverse T3. So we have to look at the complexities. And this applies to anybody, but specifically to women. We are more complex than just one number on a piece of paper. We have to run a full panel to get the full context, because context matters with these sort of things. And many of these underlying hormonal problems get missed with incomplete testing. And it's not because the doctor in the conventional setting is being, nefarious and wanting to keep information. They are just trained to diagnose a disease and match it with a medication. So it's kind of superfluous from their standpoint. Why would they run a medication when the end result's still going to be that pill that they want to put you on? So it's inconsequential from the standard model of care. But from a functional medicine standpoint, we realize ultimately nobody is sick from a medication deficiency. So if you do need to be put on a medication, why? Like, what's going on here? To go upstream to the root components that are at play here. So this is the combination of things that we have to take into consideration. And it's very, very important, because many women, like we talked about at the top of the conversation, there's so much systemic delegitimization of women that are told, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And you start to second guess and question yourself. But when you're feeling lousy, who wouldn't feel a little bit depressed and stressed and anxious? That is not the causation of why you're going through what you're going through. And labs can illuminate the components that are missing here.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to come to you and get a full lab of everything.
Hey, I'm ready.
Now I'm like convinced. I'm like, I need every test, because I just was at the doctor last week and they tested my thyroid. But you're right. It was just the general overarching
you need
test.
A full thyroid panel. We should, if you ever want to share, we could talk about it on the podcast. It would be.
Yeah. Like I would love to do a deep dive into my blood work.
I love this stuff. It's so good, because look, you already know you feel lousy. I think this is not like going to be, when I'm going over labs, the last thing that my patients want me to say is everything looks great, even though this isn't great. So if anything, when I'm going over these issues that need to be dealt with, it's not a bad thing. It's like exciting. It's like, oh, look, we have to know what we're dealing with to actually do something about it. And it's very validating to say, look, I'm not freaking crazy. I knew that there's something going on here, and we can start to deal with it, because these are things you can overcome and heal from and deal with. This isn't like scary. This is actually good stuff, because you can have a game plan to overcome it.
No, completely. And I feel the same way. I'm at the point in my life where I think for years I was like kind of scared of doctors and lab results. People do get nervous because you're like, is something really wrong? But now I'm at the point where I'm like, I want to know what's wrong, because I want to fix it and I want to move forward. And if I can get a test for anything and everything, I'm getting a test at this point. Like, I'm just ready to see what's happening in my body. And like I said, I woke up achy this morning. Like, that's not normal. I know that's not normal. And I have a feeling it's because I was tossing and turning and stressed last night. It's like, it's just everything just throws my body out of whack. And I think people are going to find this really fascinating, because when I talk about these issues, I get a lot of messages from people being like, I feel crazy. No one's listening to me. I also have inflammation, and people just don't even know who to go to for answers or what to do to get some kind of relief. So I'm really happy that I was able to introduce you to my audience. And I'll have to come get some blood work done.
Let me know.
Thank you so much. Where could everyone find you, buy your book, all of the things?
Thank you so much. Yeah, everything's at drwillcole.com. That's drwillcole.com. On Instagram at Dr. Will Cole, same thing. All the places that people are at, I am there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I am back with Rudy by popular demand. Welcome back.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
We sat down this morning and I was like, so you coming on the pod? We're going to answer some questions. And you guys are literally crazy, because today's Ask Alyssa is insane and I love you guys. So we'll jump right into it. Okay, so this girl said, Okay, so this is a riot. Last year, my friends went on a couple dates with this guy who was a few years older than her. After the second time they hooked up, she realized he had basketball. Sorry, guys, I'm so hungover. I can't read. Fuck. After the second time they hooked up, she realized he had basketball shorts on under his jeans. Then the third time noticed that again. She finally asked him why he was wearing basketball shorts under his jeans in the winter, and he said it was because when he was 14, 15 years ago, he forgot to bring shorts to basketball practice, so now he always wears them since. Alyssa, is this a red flag? Because I think it is. Just
No, this dude rocks.
Oh, you're into it.
Yeah, I mean, who gives a shit? Like, as long as it's not, he's hygienic. Who
But do you
cares?
think there's underwear under the basketball shorts?
I would assume no.
Yeah, I think he's free balling in the basketball shorts.
Which is definitely concerning, but I think it's cool as fuck.
I just wonder why. Like, what's so cool?
He's superstitious. That's why. He said, didn't he say that he does it because he forgot him one time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Old habits die hard. I think it's cool.
I picture them to be like a little chunky though, under pants.
Yeah, I mean, I had friends that did it when we were probably 12, and I was
Yeah.
always like, "Damn, bro, like that seems really uncomfortable." But
What is like the cool underwear that's in right now? Like, is it tighty whities? Is like the boxer
Thongs.
briefs?
every dude is wearing thongs, and none of you know it.
Like, what's like the it underwear?
Probably briefs. Yeah, just regular briefs.
Yeah.
Like Calvin Klein.
So like the
regular stuff.
tight on the leg. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
If I was hooking up with a guy and he was wearing boxers, I think I'd be weirded out.
No, boxers. I think that boxers actually, in a way, would be weirder than basketball shorts.
Yeah, because it's like
Because a basketball
juvenile.
short is like, this dude is just, he's a free spirit.
He's athletic.
Right. He's a free spirit. He doesn't care about the rules of society. But boxers are like a time from like just too old.
I would
my
be a
mom
little
got me.
weirded out.
My mom got me boxers for my birthday, and I had to straight up tell her, I was like, this is just not it.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, like these SpongeBob boxers gotta go, Mom.
They were Tommy Bahamas. They were nice boxers, but I was just like, I can't. This doesn't work.
Keep them around so then when girls sleep over, you can give them to wear to bed.
Yeah, I think boxers actually work better for girls.
Yeah.
In general,
We
because they're
like
like
them.
pajama shorts.
Yeah,
Basically,
they're perfect.
I still have them, but not gonna wear them.
Yeah, just keep them around
No,
in
that
case.
this guy's awesome. It's not a red flag.
I love that he
Wait,
loves
how
it.
old is he? The guy?
He's
did you
now
say?
29.
Oh, he's kind of old to be doing
Super
that.
old. I mean, if you're over the age of 12 and you're doing this, you're old to do
Right.
it.
That's
Okay,
true.
this is why I think it's weird. When I think of basketball shorts, they're baggy. They're not like the 6-inch inseam shorts that all these TikTokers are wearing.
Right.
Like basketball shorts are down to your
The
knees.
Allen Iverson.
Like
Yeah.
I don't even know sports references. They're literally down to your knees and they have like the stripe down the side.
Yep.
Like
and one shorts.
yeah, like those are kind of
It entirely depends on the dude rocking them, but I think
Fair.
that this guy sounds like a fun dude to be around.
okay. I think we're gonna agree to disagree. I think, but that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the personality type. I agree. Like if he's like a funny guy, like maybe.
Right, like a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was dating a 30-year-old who was wearing basketball shorts, I think I would think it was weird.
Yeah, I don't blame. I mean, he's definitely, if he's living this life, he's comfortable with the fact
Rudy's
that there's
like,
going to be a few
have them
people that aren't, fucking with the vision.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a free spirit.
He is a free
We
spirit.
could agree on that. So, okay, but in terms of red flag, like I don't think I wouldn't date someone because he wears shorts under his,
That'd be like one of those things where I could see that being somehow a long-term issue if they dated for years.
Yeah.
She's like, I love this guy. He's great. He gets my sense of humor. We really get along great, but he wears basketball shorts as boxers. And in 17 years, it like makes their marriage fall
It's like their
apart.
wedding day and
Right.
they're under his like tux.
Right. See, ladies just can't let dudes rock. Like,
Oh my god.
Because we try to change your style.
yeah, let us rock. This guy's rocking.
I am the type that will try to slowly just tweak the person I'm with style if they don't have any.
Really?
Yeah, like if they're dressing awful, like
You slowly change one piece of clothing, and then over course of time, it just becomes a completely different
we
human.
start with hair. Like if you
Oh.
still have like gel, like a flip,
Oh.
No,
No, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like we'll be like, try like the
Right.
puffy thing.
Right.
What about a side part?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually good advice, though. Like, I've seen videos where people just get a good haircut, and it revolutionizes their entire existence.
Everything.
Yeah, it's
You kind of
wild.
have TikTok hair.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of do.
It's hip.
If you grew it out longer, you would definitely have that.
Yeah, my hair kind of like, I used to have wicked long hair that I would slick back, but it just doesn't want to like, it's just an inconvenient thing. I just
Yeah.
let it do what it does. I
Just
don't
let it be.
I don't put very much effort into it, which is bad.
No, that's good because we don't like, as if I'm speaking for all women, I don't like a super like hard head.
Oh, I used to be when I was younger, I was way heavy on the gel.
Yeah.
And I finally
LA
just, like,
looks.
I just finally like grew up and I was like, this is a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go more natural.
Yeah, no, totally.
Which is why basketball shorts is sick, because it's a very natural way to live.
Yeah, he like just doesn't care.
Yeah.
My mom actually told my sister's husband, they started dating and years ago, and my mom was like, Justin, like, you got to get a side part. He works in
really?
finance, wears a suit, you know?
Right.
She was like, it's just not working, your hair. And he, to this day, he's like, Jude, you changed my life.
Yeah.
He's like, I owe you everything. Every
God.
promotion that I've gotten, he's like, that hairstyle changed my life.
That's nice. Yeah, see, like my mom has been a very positive style and
Yeah.
influence on my father, for sure.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah.
Okay, now I love this because people are like horned up in quarantine, and this one just really got me going. She said, a super hot married man and I struck up a convo.
Wait, what?
I just stuttered. Guys, I'm so scared for myself. Okay, I'm going to start over. A super hot married man and I struck up a convo. I'm moving a few hours away and he pretty much asked to sleep with me before I do. He wasn't shy, so I feel like this is not odd behavior for him. I feel bad. I gave him my number, but I kind of want to sleep with him because he's very, very attractive. 2020 was a dry year and my morals and my sex drive are highly conflicted.
Yikes.
I just love that she's like, I just want to have sex.
Yeah, she's being very honest about it.
Good for her.
Is it your job to patrol a man that willingly is going to step out on his marriage? Do you get what I'm saying?
Probably not. But I will say this: if she's willing to go out and like ask the question publicly, I don't think that she can hold it down necessarily.
Like she's going to do it. is
Yeah,
what you're
like
saying.
I think that she's probably a little too far gone.
Yeah, she's thinking
I
about
can't
it.
condone this behavior at
Yes,
all.
I agree.
But it seems like her mind is sort of made up.
Well, what I am thinking is if you really just want to have sex so bad, just go meet someone online.
100% agree.
You know?
Yeah.
Like if you're just like like you said, dried up and she did not say that.
Also-
She said it was a dry year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like just go find someone
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
not married.
I agree. I'm sorry. I know whoever you are, you're probably very, very horny. But
Yeah.
I have to slap you on the wrist and say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Can't do it.
You can go on Amazon. There's vibrators.
Yeah, you can go mechanical.
Yeah.
You can
Who
go
needs a man?
You can go analog. Nah, yeah. I just can't. No, I can't, you know.
But also, like, I guess what my original point was, like, this man probably is just cheating on his wife anyway because he's that kind of person. But it's like, do you want to be that kind of person?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's
He's
tough to
gonna
like
do it.
know already.
Mm-hmm.
Like if she didn't know, she would just do it. Obviously.
Have you ever hooked up with someone that was in a relationship?
Not to my knowledge.
I have, but not knowing either.
Yeah. Well, that's way
Until
that's
after.
entirely different.
No, it was
yeah.
Right.
messed
Because it's
up.
not your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, I was. It was an athlete. I'll say that much. They're all fucking losers.
Okay,
and
whoa, back up.
and after, he's like, no, he was wearing like a "What Would Jesus Do" bracelet. And after he was like, I said something like, yeah, like I feel like I've told this story. I was like, yeah, I feel like a lot of like the athletes on this trip like have girlfriends and wives. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you? He was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh my God.
You're like, all right, great time to tell me, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's
Thank
very
you.
brave of him to tell you after being
After it already
asked.
happened.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, I'm just gonna come clean. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's the kind of guy I am.
He's like, yeah.
I'm an honest guy.
I'm an
I
honest,
was
straight
like,
up
are
dude.
you-
I'm just gonna tell you now.
Yeah, after.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, excuse me?
It happens. I mean, fuck. It just happens. But yeah,
But if I knew that, I wouldn't have.
her issue, it sounds like, is just the fact that the dude's wicked hot.
Yeah, you're right. Because you can't just find a hottie on like
Right,
Tinder
so-
necessarily.
My advice is, this is sort of lame and like kind of square of me, but I think you just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not the way. It's not the virtuous way.
I feel like you just got to fantasize about a hot man.
Yeah. Or just get in the streets and just,
Yeah.
start patrolling. People
that-
are outside.
That's street.
There's other horny people out there just like you.
No, I'm with you. You. Okay. I'm going to try to find another good one. Oh, this one's good. They're all very sex related today, which is funny. Hey, girl, I just want to start off by saying I love your podcast. I'm in Toronto and we're in another crazy lockdown and vaccines are rolling out at a very glacial pace. So I've been talking to this guy and the sex in person pre-lockdown was great, but he absolutely sucks at sexting. Like the responses I get are nice, but odd. He goes from 0 to 100. Am I expecting too much?
It's a tough thing to teach.
And it's also kind of like you're in lockdown, which isn't hopefully forever. So you just ride out the wave, I feel.
Wait, I don't understand like what her issue is.
Her issue is that now that they're in lockdown, they can't see each other. The sex was good in person.
Oh, right.
But now the sexting isn't good. And they're like separated, I guess.
She should just get him I'm sure that there's a sexting for dummies. She should just send that to him.
Like a how-to guide.
Yeah.
Or I think you just kind of have to navigate the conversation yourself. Like, it's kind of like sex in real life where you have to like tell someone what to do. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she has to like navigate it a little bit and be like, she said he goes from 0 to 100.
So he's just too aggressive in the sexting?
That's what I'm trying to think.
I'm also trying to
I'm
picture
picturing
like
him
a
being like,
conversation.
I'm finished.
Being like,
Like, there's nothing in between.
Right.
that's tough if like you shank and you bust early in sexting when there's like
That's what I'm
no-
picturing.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, she's got to, I think that you got to just like, I don't even know. This is such a bizarre world that we're living in now with like the quarantine is just giving people trouble.
I think you just deal with it because we're not going to be locked down forever. And if everything was good in person, it's going to be good in person again when
Yeah.
you're reunited.
Listen, if you got a problem with the dude sexting, then like I said, there's plenty of helpful resources out there. Send him a book.
I love
Tell
that.
him to get educated.
Yeah.
But like, don't you feel, wouldn't you be insulted if a girl sent you a book on how to sext?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it'd be hilarious if the girl was like, "Listen, you're not good at this.
True.
That'd be very funny."
That is kind of true.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah, it's like something's missing.
It also
here.
could like, depending on the dude, completely like destroy his entire self-confidence and destroy the relationship. But
Oh.
just make things explode. Why don't you try to FaceTime him and do it that way? That's a
no, I think you could do that, or
that
you could get
policy?
this, or you could get the sexting for dummies and send it to him.
sexting with dummies.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read another. There are a lot of relationship ones today. This girl, blah, blah, blah. So my boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years and lived together for 1 year renting apartments. We're now in the process of buying a house, and I was really excited at the idea of buying a house, but the idea of buying it with him is making me bonkers. My anxiety, whatever's through the roof, and I feel like a commitment phobia, which is weird for me because I'm normally the one pushing to make things official and move things along. I've also been feeling the need to be more independent lately and kind of like the idea of living alone. But I don't know how/if I could say that to him without breaking up. But also, if buying a house with him stresses me out after dating him and living with him for this long, is this relationship really still going anywhere? Sorry, that's a loaded question, but I've really talked about this with anyone. I haven't really talked about this with anyone, and a lot of these feelings are very new and very weird for me.
Heavy questions.
Yeah.
I think you guys got to go to one of the resorts, like in couples retreat, where they go to like an island and like your relationship is like tested by a stranger psychologist.
Temptation Island.
And they just pick apart your brain. That
Just
you got to
pick it
go.
apart.
You got to go to one of those places and figure it out.
Where do these exist?
In the tropics somewhere.
I feel like
It's in the tropics somewhere there.
it's hard because like you could either be having doubts, like cold feet, or you listen to your gut, which is like, don't move in with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is like way over my head because I've never been this far along in a relationship. But I always think that if like what's the rush? What's the rush in doing anything? Like, why do you need to buy a house now? Like, I understand that you want to build credit and et cetera like that. That's a good thing. But there's no one like putting a gun to your head that's like, you got to move in with this person. I always think it's better, in my opinion, to just like wait and like allow things to evolve naturally. So like you're comfortable, et cetera.
That's true. Like, why buy? Yeah, you're right. Like, rent for another year. See,
Right.
Me and my friends have been having this conversation because we feel like we all of a sudden got really old, like within like this last year because of COVID.
Right.
And I think we were saying it's because everyone settled down.
Totally.
And I think COVID kind of put this like pressure cooker on people to be like, move out of cities, buy houses, get engaged, get married, get pregnant.
Right.
And like, I think maybe this is a result of like you've been stuck inside with this. You said you've lived together for a year, so basically it's been the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
And now you want to buy a house. Like, don't let society pressure you into like taking the next step if you are kind of getting cold feet.
Yeah, unless it's like a really great situation where you know it's going to be like a slam dunk.
Yeah.
You got the money. It's a good place. All that stuff. I think that everyone needs like a buffer year after
COVID.
this. Like you like take a year, and because like everyone's like, it's a weird year like in general.
Yeah, that's a
like
good
your
point.
brain is in a weird fucking whatever place. So I would take a buffer year, take a gap year, reevaluate.
Yeah.
Like I said, maybe the tropical resort.
And maybe you realize you're going to be together forever or you're not. I'm 100% aligned with this advice. Don't rush buying a property because once you merge your finances, like, then it's not just a breakup.
Then shit gets real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's
Right.
not good.
Right.
So yeah, I actually like that advice. Like, pump the brakes. Maybe just say to your boyfriend, like, you know, I'm feeling like we just lived this last year in COVID and we didn't really get the most out of like living together this past year. I think we need to live together with like life happening, not locked inside together.
Right.
Before we settle down and buy a house. All right. I love it. That's all the questions we're going to do, but I do have something for you, Rudy.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
So you roller skated to work today.
I did.
Mackenzie saw you on the street.
I did see you, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did I look sick?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I was
fun.
like, I didn't even see
How
the
good is that?
rollerblades at first, and I was like crossing the street, and you were just like on the other side, like halfway in front of me. And I was like, oh, that kind of looks like Rudy. And then all of a sudden, like the sidewalk, like the light went on to walk and you just like bolted. I was like, what is that? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's rollerblades.
You thought I was on a Segway?
I didn't even know. I just like, you were just kind of like standing there. I didn't even notice the rollerblades.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
They're awesome.
I feel like that's a bold move. That's a guy that would wear basketball shorts.
Right. I think that's sort of why I felt that way about the
Yeah,
basketball.
no. You definitely, I could like definitely.
Because I was
see
like,
you
I
doing that.
rock rollerblades to work, so it's like, how can I tell the basketball shorts guy that he's nuts?
No,
That's true.
100%.
Like you would definitely be a basketball shorts guy, but
Yeah.
you could also pull it off. If
I
it was
agree.
someone different, it would be kind of weird, probably.
because like if you own dressing unique or like having style,
Yeah.
I think it's one thing. But if you're like wearing like a like a polo and khakis and you're
Right.
rocking basketball shorts,
Right, all of a sudden you're like, let me wear some basketball shorts.
that is concerning. The person you just described.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on like the human.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, the rollerblading thing is hilarious, but honestly, for me, it makes a ton of sense because I used to play hockey, so I'm like
Yeah.
fairly good at rollerblading. Mike, my roommate, got them for me for free. They're like really nice rollerblades. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, it's nice outside. They're great because it's like a perfect combination of walking and biking. Because biking in the city, you get around really quick, but you
Yeah.
gotta like go to the city bike and all this stuff. And you're still kind of a vehicle. Whereas rollerblades, you're everywhere. You can be
Yeah.
on the sidewalk. You can be in the road. You can go fast.
love
You
to
can go
see this.
slow. You can go in a store. I went to a bodega with the blades on.
Wait, really?
Well, what are you gonna do? Take them off? Like
That's
you can,
true,
You
yeah.
can do everything as long as you're like capable on them. You can basically just navigate the world on blades.
Did
I
you just,
think
like-
you need a GoPro and you need to make this like a
Oh,
series.
yeah.
I mean, Mike has already got it going. Like
Rudy
Blade.
on
Oh,
rollerblades.
yeah, Blade Gang.
Yeah.
I will say this though. I didn't account for this. This morning I was like, oh, I'll just blade to work today. It'll be great. I didn't quite account for the fact that going to work blading is not nearly as fun as just going for a stroll on the waterfront. It like going
Yeah.
through Midtown Manhattan wasn't that. There was points where I was like, this
Yeah.
isn't fun. This
Right.
is dumb. Like the roads are shitty. There's construction
Is it
everywhere.
like a workout? Like, were you like
I
sweating?
was gonna say you show up sweaty.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I like I said, when you're on the water, you're just coasting, so it's
Right.
not that bad. But
Yeah.
then there was a few hills, and I was like, oh, this actually like kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I'm a big city biker.
City bike's awesome,
Yeah.
especially if
Love
you
a
get the
city
pedal
bike.
assist.
Oh, I fly
Sheesh.
home.
Yeah, you fly.
So I go to Soul Cycle a lot in Tribeca, and it's on the west side. And like for me to like take a like a subway home is kind of pointless. Like nothing's convenient.
You can get the places so fast on a city bike.
Hop on that city bike, the one with the motor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I just trek along the West Side Highway on the bike path. I love like the sun setting because the time of day that I go. Winds in my hair.
This time of year is great for it.
I have a question for you. Do you feel the sexual tension on the bike path?
Oh, on the West Side?
Just any like there's this, I've spoken of this sexual tension when you're moving and someone else is moving and they're hot and you're coming towards each other.
Oh yeah.
And like you can't stop because you're both moving, but you're just like, fuck, all the hot people are on the path.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Totally.
All
I mean,
the time.
if you don't think I'm gonna take the blades to the West Side Water,
What
you're nuts.
We're gonna see each other passing.
We used to be when I was in college though, you want to talk about like weird sexual tension, like we used to go to the park right by our school and we had rollerblades then, and we legitimately, like unironically, would blade around like a crew of 6 hockey dudes. Half of us would have our shirts off and we'd have a boombox
Oh my god.
like playing 80s music, and in our head we were like, this is just like a normal park activity.
Right.
But like if you saw us, it would be like,
It's like a fantasy.
What do these dudes think? Like they look like complete buffoons, but it was so fun.
We've talked a little bit about this, but I dated a hockey player in college and he was Canadian. And like, did you have a lot of Canadians on your hockey team?
Yeah, tons.
I felt like when I hung out with like him and his hockey friends, like he was so cool, you know, like
Yeah.
Canadian, like
Yeah.
hockey player. But then when I would like pluck him out and put him with like my like American friends
This guy was Canadian?
yeah,
Yeah.
my American friends that like weren't Canadian, then all of a sudden I felt like he was like not as cool because
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah.
Powers were stripped from him.
Yeah, like I was like, ooh, like it's an environment thing.
Yeah, he didn't have like the wingmen.
No, I mean he was great.
Yeah,
Steven,
Canadians
shout out.
Canadians are stronger in numbers.
It's just like the hockey banter is such a specific thing.
It's
like
very
the way
funny.
you guys talk and
Yeah.
like the way you like something would happen with me and him, like he'd like pee my bed or something, and like the whole team would know. And like,
Oh yeah, something would happen. Yep.
like you know, you'd go out and get too drunk and like
Yeah.
stuff, and like the whole hockey team would know in like 30 seconds. I'm
Yeah.
like, can I have
Oh,
any
yeah.
privacy here?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole team's got to know my
That's like
business?
any sports team though, I feel like. Just like everyone knows everything.
Well, if someone pees the bed, you're gonna get made fun of.
Yeah.
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm like,
I mean-
he's an idiot because I'm like, why are you telling them? Because now they're just gonna make fun
right,
of
like
me.
that's on you.
Yeah, he would tell everyone.
That's so true.
Oh man. All right, Rudy.
Wow.
It's been real. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll have you back soon.
Let's do it.
Okay, guys, it is time to spill the tea, and the tea is piping hot because something just broke, and you know, you're gonna hear it here first. So if you're not into the TikTok drama, we are really into it here at Barstool,
Yeah.
as you know.
Huge.
I feel like we are like the epicenter right now for
Yeah.
TikTok
No,
drama.
definitely.
And let me throw my hat in the ring. So Addison Rae, Bryce Hall, you guys know her, obviously. They were dating. They're on again, off again. They were seen getting cozy this past weekend at the Triller fight. The Triller fight was a fight between Jake Paul and Ben
Askren, I think.
Askren.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. But Addison was seen getting cozy with Bryce, and now she's seen getting cozy with this other guy named Jack Harlow. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think Bryce is more attractive.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And Bryce put out a tweet saying, he said, fucking me, telling me you love me, then sneaking around with someone else. That fucking hurts. I'm about to explode, man. Downgrade. So there is some drama. Everyone's cheating on everyone in TikTok world. I have to agree with KFC when he said on 1 Minute Man the other day, if you guys follow Barstool Sports, KFC does some celeb stuff as well. He basically was like, if you're 19 and you're a millionaire and you're not sleeping around, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like you have so many opportunities right
like
now.
none of this surprises me. Me and my friends in high school and middle school all dated the same 5 guys.
Right, exactly.
Like, and not because it was gross, because like that's what you do when you're 12. Like,
yeah. 12.
not 12, but like, you know,
Sleeping
that's what
around.
you do when you're a teen. Like you
Right.
date the same people.
Right.
Granted, we weren't like as like promiscuous maybe.
Right.
But I think that this world is a little different these days.
Yeah.
But he's so right. Like
Mhm.
Jade and Anessa and Josh and this and that. Like it'd be almost weirder if they weren't making mistakes.
Right.
They're
Oh, yeah.
children.
Exactly. And on Call Her Daddy, they were talking about it with the Mads Lewis girl with the whole Jada and Josh thing. It's like Alex was like, yeah, I probably did that stuff too in high school when I was 18, but it's just not being seen by millions of people.
Exactly.
It's like they're just living their life like a regular teenager, which is like what every teenager does. Like you go and date everybody, you know what I mean?
Everyone. I remember in middle school I was dating this guy, Tyler. Hey Ty. And I just love name dropping.
Shout out Tyler.
And his best friend, Greg, called me and was like, I really like you. You should break up with Tyler.
Oh my God.
And I broke up with Tyler and then started dating Greg the next day.
That's amazing.
Granted, it was middle school, but like,
yeah,
that's savage.
but yeah, oh yeah, exactly. And it's probably like on the house phone that he called you.
100%
Yeah.
on the house phone. And like, that's what you do.
Right, exactly.
You
Yeah.
know?
That was just like a thing. You gotta learn at some point.
Yeah.
And these kids are just like learning in the public eye, which sucks, but that's just how it's gonna happen for them.
100%. So, you know, I love me some Addison Rae. I just would prefer if she were to date someone like cool.
I know. Like she could really have anyone, I think.
But I also have a controversial opinion. And like, I think Bryce Hall's hot.
Yeah, he's grown on me, definitely.
Yeah.
Just based on his personality, even watching him on BFFs, he can take a joke.
I think he's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'm like the only one, but like people love to hate him, but like I kind of think that's what makes me like him.
Yeah.
That he's so quote unquote problematic. I don't think anything he's doing is actually that problematic.
No, it's like even like back when he had his 21st birthday and he had that huge party, like, yeah, that was horrible. Like you probably shouldn't have had that many people over within COVID. But again, it's like if he just had that party and he was a regular 21-year-old, no one's seeing that and no one cares.
That's why I guess, because I think about myself, I'm like, at that age, I was in college.
Right.
And like being like out of control. So I'm like, they're just living their college years in front of us all.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah. Oh my God. If I lived my college years in front of everyone, I'd probably be doing that too.
Oh yeah, we'd be nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're gonna spill some more tea because some stuff did happen with Demi Lovato last night, and I took to my Facebook group on Facebook, my Facebook group on Facebook, and asked the Tea Tribe to give their thoughts. And honestly, you guys, I'm obsessed with you because it was such a well-rounded, cool conversation. The post has like over 75 comments on it, so many different opinions. And when I first heard this whole thing that I'll go into, I wasn't sure where I stood. But then as people expressed their thoughts, I was able to form an opinion. So now I have one here to share today. So basically, Demi Lovato went after a froyo place called The Big Chill in Los Angeles, and she put on her stories, she said, I'm finding it extremely hard to order froyo from at The Big Chill official when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies / other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please. And then she did #diet culture vultures. So they DM'd her saying, we are not diet vultures. We cater to all of our customers' needs for the past 36 years. We are sorry you found this offensive. She published that message basically saying, it's not just that, your service was terrible, so rude, the whole experience was triggering and awful. You can carry things for other people while also caring for another percentage of your customers who struggle daily just to even step foot in your store. We could find a way to provide an inviting environment for all people with different needs, including eating disorders, one of the deadliest mental illnesses, only second to opioid overdoses. Don't make excuses, just do better. She posted all of this. So then it created this great debate of people being like, is she justified in getting mad at them, given her history with eating disorder and knowing that, you know, diet culture is like a $7 billion industry,
Right.
whatever the stat is.
Right.
Or is she overreacting because there are other people that sugar-free options really help out, like people with diabetes
Right.
or people with other
Like celiac and gluten-free, stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it created a really great debate. And some people said, you know, her comments are valid. I've struggled and this is triggering for me. Then other people put it great. Like this person says, as someone who is type 1 diabetic, these accommodations are super nice to see at a restaurant / food business. I also think limiting these snacks to certain groups or labeling them as for a group is kind of annoying and unnecessary. I'm from the LA area and I've been to this shop and I don't think the options are obvious to or everywhere, but that's because I wanted froyo and like basically like if you're diabetic, that's where you go. I
Right.
guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So I formed my opinion. And I'm here to share it. I'm a Demi stan.
I
love her so much.
Yeah.
I always have. Like, I cut my hair to be like her.
Yeah.
I bought a ring that she had because I wanted to look like
Yeah.
her. Like, I love Demi.
Yeah.
I really do. I have to disagree with her in this situation. I think her intent was, I get it.
Yeah.
I think the issue is going after one small business with such a huge social media following is extremely damaging
Yeah.
for that one business. And it's not fair to make them the poster child for like this issue
Yeah.
when there's brands like Skinny Pop and Bethany Frankel's Skinny Girl.
Yeah.
And there's so many bigger brands that are doing the same thing. So it just makes me sad for a small business to have
Yeah.
to get such negative publicity. Maybe it actually will make their store do better.
Yeah, hopefully, actually. I guess no, what is that saying?
No press is bad press.
Yeah.
So I it's one of those things where it's like I understand why that triggers someone like her.
Oh, 100%.
Because she's trying not to diet, she's trying to have a healthy relationship with food, and then she walks into a store and everything's like diet this, diet that, sugar free.
Right.
So I totally get that, but my analogy that I made in my Facebook group was like alcoholics still have to go to restaurants and they have alcohol on the menu.
Yeah.
It's not that it's fair, but that's the world that we live in.
Right. That's a good point.
People are always going to, there's always going to be something that's going to make you feel challenged. And you have to find like the peace within yourself. So while I get what she was saying, I think maybe it wasn't fair to take it out on this one specific company.
Yeah. And I think it's also like person by person. Like you said, that one person said the options are good because they have like issues with food or whatever like they might have. And it's not, if it's not clearly labeled, or like even growing up, if you were gluten-free, like, or if you had, even if you had a peanut butter allergy, you were always like the kid in the class that like had to have a specific thing. And it was kind of like, not that people would make fun of you, but it was just like, oh, you're that one kid. So I think if it's more like generalized and accepted, I guess, then it's easier for those people to go in and like get what they want without feeling judged or something.
Exactly. Yeah, because my friend messaged me and she was like, a lot of my patients, because she works in physical therapy, she's like, a lot of my patients like love options like that because a lot of them are diabetic and like they would be so sad if this was taken off the menu.
Right.
So it just depends. Like there's something for everyone. I get what Demi was saying. Maybe like the way that they're like the language surrounding it is what's really triggering.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do think in this case she kind of responded based off of
Like her own
emotion.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still love you, Demi. I support you. I watched your full documentary.
So good.
She's my girl. And also, like, I mean, just the conversation alone, like I said, there was 80-something comments.
Yeah.
And people are just like, it's really cool because no one's like bashing anyone. And it's like everyone having such a valid opinion and a different stance. So if you guys want to join the Tea Tribe Facebook group, it's linked in my Instagram bio. So you could ask to be a member there. I think that does it for today's show, guys. It's going to be a full one.
It's some breaking TikTok news.
Some breaking news, some health and wellness, some tired and sexy, midday rollerblading, basketball shorts. That sums it up for this week. I will be back next week. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe, leave a written review, and rate me 5 stars. It really helps me, guys. I love you. I will see you next Tuesday.